My man Paul.
Hey,
How are you, buddy?
doing good,
Mate, it's good to meet you. And I feel like I'm meeting you properly on camera for the first time. So this is interesting.
It is.
This is interesting. Well, welcome, ladies and gents. Welcome to Talk to Me, the show where I get my friends to talk to me. This time I've got a brand new friend, someone that I've seen over the years, but I really haven't, spoken to a lot. Paul, how'd you get on the show? Tell us that first.
Well, firstly, thanks for having me on. We crossed paths, a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
I'd say by chance.
Pretty much.
Probably didn't expect to, but we crossed paths and, I mentioned to you, hey, I love what you're doing online. I came across it by chance as well. And then you said, hey, you want to come on? And I said, yeah. And it was really quick too, which was...
I work like that. I'm pretty quick with how I do things.
Yeah.
I like to get it done.
Yeah.
On top of that, it's not every day when someone says, hey, can I jump on your podcast? So it's a win-win for me. But mate, if I can say so, we've got a fan of the show and I'm very happy that we've got that.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to have you on, man.
It's pretty cool, like being a fan and watching a few and again, coming across it and then I'm here.
And here you are.
That's right, yeah.
Let me ask you, before we do get into your story and what we're going to talk about today, what is your thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on podcasts, Christian getting into this space, that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, I think recently, when I started to, and this might sound interesting, but when I started to have long commutes to work, at the moment I'm commuting an hour each way to work each day. And at first, I didn't used to listen to the radio or anything like that. But long story short, I started listening to the radio, started listening to podcasts, and I just thought they were the best. I thought, wow,
Yeah.
and I just listened to ones over and over again. I'm sure heaps of people would, say the same. And then I came across you, and then I thought, I'll listen to this because I listen to podcasts anyway. And I just, loved what, I hear on podcasts. They're really interesting. And this one, again, really interesting. My view on it, I love them. I think they're always great. Just hearing people talk can be really refreshing sometimes. So
It's different from the stock standard that you get on the radio or just with your playlist.
It is. I love the radio as well.
Yeah.
I listen to the radio a lot, and I'm actually, big fan of, some radio stations like 2GB and stuff
Mate,
like that.
2GB, bro. I feel like an old man every time I jump on there, but I love it.
Yeah.
Give me Ben Fordham any day of the week,
it's
man.
great. I listen to him every day,
What a
every morning.
machine.
And, I even call in. He even answers me sometimes and say, I just love it. It's great.
Hold on, you've been on the Ben Fordham show?
A few times.
You're
A few
joking.
times, yes. That's
What-
how much I love radio and stuff.
What did you talk to him about?
They've been short encounters. First time, I think he was talking about just random stuff, right?
Okay.
So fish and chip shops, it's which is the best fish and chip shop. There's a great one, that I come across up in the north of New South Wales, so Coffs Harbour.
Okay.
And I honestly think it's the best. So I rung in, so I thought,
What's the name of that?
sea salt. Sea salt.
I've been there.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's the best I've tasted. So I
Very
rang him
good.
in, and he answered me, and I said, sea salt.
That is awesome.
And he loved it, so why not?
That's awesome. Well, man, why don't you tell us who you are? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Bankstown, born and bred.
Love it. Local boy.
Yeah, and to be honest, I still live here in Bankstown. So yeah, I'm quite used to the area. I've gone to school in the Bankstown area, gone to church in the Bankstown area.
Condell Park?
Condell Park.
Okay.
Correct. So a lot of people just know where Bankstown is. Not everyone knows where Condell Park is.
Yep.
So still in that area. And about myself, well, I'm a teacher.
Okay.
And I teach music, I teach a bit of PE, and I actually started a new school this year at a Christian school,
Okay.
and it's not in the Bankstown area, it's in Penrith.
Penrith, that's a
So
trek every
it is a
morning,
trek,
man.
yeah, and that's where I listen to my radio and all that stuff.
That's
so,
full on.
yeah, I love what I do.
Why teaching?
Yeah, good question. I, from a pretty young age, I've been inspired by my own teachers, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell. They've put a lot into me. They taught well. I could see their sacrifice for me, and they were just great people. All in one.
Yeah.
And I looked at that and I thought, hey, I want to be like you. And then as I went through high school, that thought never changed because at my school is run by church. So I actually had teachers that stayed with me for the majority of my high schooling life. So I saw really, their genuine self. It's not like I had a teacher and then I left. And
Did they become more like mentors to you than teachers themselves?
yeah, to be honest, yes. And even friends afterwards.
Okay.
Even to this day, some of them. So yeah, just seeing how they went about their life, seeing how they went about their profession, I thought, hey, I want to be like that. So
And that was it. You just went straight into the teaching side of things.
pretty much, yeah. I finished school. I went straight to uni, studied music education, and graduated. Went into teaching full time. I only started at the beginning of last year,
Okay.
and I'm here, and I'm doing it, and I love it.
Mate, happy with that decision?
To be honest with you, so far, yes. It's very tiring. Like, and I mean, when I say very tiring, especially over the last couple of years during lockdown, very, very tiring.
So did you start your teaching career at the beginning of lockdown? Like, was that around the same time?
Yes, as soon as lockdown hit,
Mate,
as soon as COVID hit.
I have a friend that did the exact same thing. He started around that, and I cannot believe the amount of stuff you guys had to go through.
Yeah.
How much harder is it to teach music via the whole Zoom process? Because that's going to be difficult, man.
To be honest, I didn't mind it, first of all, and I'm glad I didn't mind it because we had no choice.
Yeah, all the stuff, yeah.
And I'm talking about like beginning of last year, even every teacher, even if you've been teaching for decades and decades, like even, you know, if it wasn't good for them, then they would have struggled.
Yeah.
I like working with digital technologies and all that sort of stuff. So for me, it was easy. As for following up on students, as for checking in on them, that took hours.
Yep.
For me, the prep was still okay, but I'd have to phone call home, if I didn't hear from a student for a week, because in a normal world, if you didn't hear from a student for a week, you would be concerned.
Yep.
And especially during COVID and all the things that,
Everyone's going through.
surrounded that. Yeah. So yeah, I found like I was on the phone a lot, emailing a lot, prepping a lot. Yes, I still had to put more time into that. But yeah, I didn't mind because again, I'm at the beginning of my career and I'm pretty passionate still. So I actually wasn't that bad for me.
So instead of seeing that as a hindrance, you saw it as sort of a challenge and
Yeah.
fight with it.
Yeah, I learned so much. Like I've learned so much in the last, nearly 2 years now. And it's all been COVID and it's all been my career so far. So for me, it's almost like it's normal. Like I don't know any different yet.
You don't know what being a teacher is in the classroom yet.
In a way, I felt that way. And I've just had to jump in. I've just had to swim as a teacher. And, I'm still going and I still love it. So that's kind of been another confirmation to me as to, teaching's where I really want to be.
So why music? Why that specific niche, I guess?
Yeah, well, again, from a young age, I started learning the piano when I was 6 years old. At first, I actually hated it. I actually hated it. Like I used to, I didn't want to practice. I used to cry even as a 6-year-old.
Are you a sporty guy?
I am too. Yes.
There you go. Makes sense. Continue.
Yeah. So yeah, I've just been involved in music just from a very young age, from when I was 6 to now. So that's like pretty much my whole life. And the more I did it, the more I fell in love with it. The more I found purpose in it, the more I found identity in it. And again, my music teachers were incredibly inspiring, even throughout uni. And I just wanted to, take from there and just impart to students. And, music is powerful. I'm sure we've heard it so many times. It's very powerful, and it has a place in everyone's life. And I've learned that, year to year. And I thought, why not teach this, and
it's universal, eh?
It is.
The interesting thing about music for me is that I'm not a musical guy. Okay, I can't sing to save my life. I wish I could, but I can't. That's one of those things where it's like, God, why didn't you give me the gift of singing, Christmas carols, mate, I belt those out and people are not happy about it.
Yeah.
But it is still one of those things that is massive in my life. Like, I love music. I did piano for about 2 years, hated it, dropped it. And then I played trumpet for about 3 years, went into my church orchestra. Somehow they let me in. And then I dropped that as well. But music's a massive thing in a person's life, whether they're musically inclined or not. What is your thought on the whole music side of a person's life? What type of hold should it have on a person?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting question. I mean, you're asking what hold should it have? The fact is that it does, like full stop almost. We all listen to music. We all even love music.
Yeah,
even if we think we can't perform it or participate in it, like you said. So what hold should it have on someone's life? It already has a big hold, and yes, it should. And there's nothing we can do about that. I believe we're created as musical beings. That's why it's such a big part of our lives naturally. So there's so many ways you can go with this, but
Go for it.
you know, like I'm involved in ministry as well at church,
Yep.
and I am involved in the music ministry. So you got, you know, music with regards to spirituality and worship, and you got music with regards to, let's call it secular. So like things that-
Recreational.
exactly, that doesn't have to do with the church. So and in both of those areas, you know, if you're a Christian, they're huge parts. Again, we listen to music on our, you know,
Drive to work.
I was gonna say iPods, but do we have iPods still?
No, not anymore. That's the crazy part, bro. The way that music has gone from like the tape, the CD,
Yeah.
and iPod in the last 10 or so years is crazy. It's all
Yeah.
on your phone now.
That's right, and like nothing's really hindered it. It's
Yeah.
just always flowed through all of those different mediums. So, yeah. So you know that's the way I always think about music. You know, spiritual and secular, and you know they're not. One's not.
Exclusively right and
Yeah.
wrong. Do you think there's a I personally think, and I want to get your thought on this because you're the teacher, not me. Is music a tough balance? Is it something that a Christian should learn to balance, or should they have free reign?
Definitely learn to balance. As a Christian, you know, we should be learning to balance all areas of our lives. It's never like we should never really have free reign with anything, and you know, the Bible teaches that.
Yeah.
You know, there's debate about, you know, what music, you know, we should worship with in church, you know, even what music we should listen to at home. You know, the debates are roaring, you know, but I feel like, you know, in a nutshell, we should be conscious about it. Like, we shouldn't just say, oh, you know, because I feel all right with it, it's fine. You know, that's not always the case for me.
Yeah.
You know, there's local churches, you know, different local churches are different, but as long as the local church, you know, is seeking out God, you know, with their music, and wholeheartedly, you know, that's the starting point. So that's not free reign, that's seeking out, you know, a high being.
That's crazy because that was probably the best answer I've ever gotten for that question.
Sure.
And I was actually speaking to my mate Ryan about that yesterday. We've had him on the show too, and we were talking about the whole music side of things. And he's the music guy, I'm not. And it's right. There's such an interesting balance that music should have that I think we tip the scale both ways very often in our lives. And we tend not to know how to keep that balance. And I personally think it's just because we do not have a proper understanding of the Bible's perspective on music. Would you agree with that? Would you disagree with that? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, to be honest, I would agree when you say, you know, we don't know probably as much of a biblical perspective as we want to. The Bible does have a lot to say about music, like very specifically, like quite specifically actually. And you know, I'm a firm believer in you know, those references in the Bible to music to take them literally and not figuratively. Like I know, like in places like the Psalms, you know, there's poetry and stuff like that, and sometimes it's, you know, there's figurative language. But from my opinion, and I guess I'm still studying it, all of the music references in the Bible we should take literally. So, for example, you know, God has put a new song in our mouths. Even praise to our God, many shall see it and fear and trust in the Lord. So we should, you know, we're not saved, and then we're saved, we should have a new song. Like literally, we should have a new song.
Okay. I like that.
And those who see us will see it and fear, and as a result, trust in the Lord. So, yeah, it's one of my favorites with regards to music. If the music that I'm using to worship is bringing people to Christ, then it's good. If it's not, and if it's hindering in any way, shape or form, then it's probably not good. And that's something that I learned recently, and, you know, I ponder on that a lot.
Love that, man. And that's hitting the nail on the head right there. By the way, phenomenal piano player you are.
Oh, really?
And, mate, the violinist, was that your wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we performed. Yeah.
Mate, she was another level on that violin,
Yeah,
bro.
she's pretty good.
That was full on. I had chills running down my spine, man. That was unreal.
Yeah.
But okay, so we've gotten all that, but I want to go back. Take me to the very beginning. You mentioned you're a Christian.
Yep.
Explain to me how that happened. How'd you become a Christian?
Yeah. Well, I was brought up in a Christian home, and you know, looking back on that, the fact that I was born into a Christian home, I'm very thankful for that. Super thankful. I'd rather, you know, looking back, I would have rather that than not being born in a Christian home. And I know some people say differently, but I definitely say, you know, I wouldn't have it any other way.
I'm with you, bro.
So I was, pretty much born in church. My parents always went to church. So, because they went, I went. And another thing that I'm really thankful for is that I got saved at a young age. I hear testimonies of people that have been gloriously saved later on in life. And, that's
Thank God.
almost just as amazing, to see what they've been saved from and that sort of thing. But I was saved when I was 7 years old.
Okay.
And in a nutshell, I was saved through the ministry of my church, through youth ministries.
Okay.
And again, I'm forever grateful for that. I always think if it wasn't for that, I probably might have not been saved if it wasn't for my church's youth ministry. And I've thought about that a lot. It was a Friday night. I was 7 years old. Pretty much the leader that was preaching at the time preached about hell, like the fires of hell, literally.
Okay.
And I look back on that and I think, man, I don't think I've ever since heard a leader or a speaker speak about hell to someone as young as 7.
That's full on.
Yeah, it is.
That's full on, yeah.
And like I've thought back on that and I thought, hey, like this guy, like this, the man that preached that night, wasn't afraid. Wasn't afraid that, kids might go home and have nightmares or whatever. And he's like, nah, this is the Bible. The Bible, I'm reading word for word from the Bible.
And he was ready.
Pardon?
He was ready. He was ready to give that.
Yeah, definitely. And, he preached about what it was and it convicted me. Friday night, I couldn't sleep. Saturday came, I thought about it. Sunday passed, went to church as normal, thought about it. Monday came. Okay. And again, I was going to the church school. And this particular speaker, I actually forgot that he actually works at the school, like as a part-time helper. Okay. And I thought, oh yeah, that's right, you actually work here. And I saw him and I thought, man, you scared me, sort of thing. And then I didn't pay it any mind. And then we're at recess. And then I just thought, no, hold on, think about it. And I thought about it and I thought, hey, he said that I can be saved from that, so why do I need to be scared for? But I thought, I forgot how to be saved. I thought, he said I could, but how do I do it? So as a 7-year-old, I went up to him and I remember the words I said. The exact words I said was, as a little 7-year-old, I said, I remember when you preached about hell. And that's all I said to him. Like as a little 7, I didn't have many social skills.
Cousin, you're 7. I don't think any 7-year-old has social skills.
So I literally just went up to him and that's all I said. I didn't say, hi, how are you? I just said, I remember when you preached about hell. And I just kind of stepped back. And all he said was like, well, do you want to know how to be saved? And I said, yeah, I do. And he sat me down, middle of recess, noise going around everywhere,
that like awesome.
Kids playing. And he basically opened the Bible. He didn't even take me to a private room. He just said, just sit here, it's all right. Nice. And I pretty much got saved during recess at a school where these kids are running around everywhere.
That is awesome.
And I'd never forget it. He basically walked me through, look, the Bible says we're all sinners. Do you believe that? I said, yes, I do. And the Bible says that the way to get to heaven is to confess and to believe. Those two things. It's like it's simple. And as a 7-year-old, I needed that simplicity. And I got it. I understood it. And we prayed together. And I asked God to forgive me. And that's when I was saved.
That is awesome.
So that's the story.
That's awesome, man. I want to take it to, if I can, I want to go through 2 parts of this story. First off, his side of things. The audacity for this guy to come in and preach about hell, but then follow that up with talking straight to a 7-year-old and say, listen, man, do you want to know how to become a Christian?
Yeah.
And then sit down and do it on the spot. That's, first off, very brave, man. That's a very brave stance of his to not care and just present the gospel as it was meant to be presented, but also trust in the fact that a 7-year-old is not too dumb to understand this. Because I think that's
dumb.
Mate,
I was.
Trust me, I was a lot worse. But I think that's something that a lot of people do consider. They think they're not going to get it. They're not smart enough. I was saved when I was 7 as well. So I similar story, but it was through a kid's video. Sure. Put in the VHS, watch that. For all the kids listening to this, they're not going to know what it is. But I put the VHS on, I got saved. Do you recall the moment in which you were starting to understand everything? When everything started to make sense? Because I remember for me, it felt like a very complex and complicated sort of understanding, but I somehow got that at 7. Was that the same for you?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I've actually thought about that a lot because, I've heard of people that have been saved younger than that. I've
Yeah.
heard of people being saved as young as 4. And that's always baffling. I thought, man, when I was 4, I don't even remember when I was 4. Like that's how, I say I wasn't a smart kid, but anyways. So the answer to your question is, before I was 6, 7, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even think about anything. I didn't think about the Bible. I didn't think about the fact that there was a hell, that there was a heaven. I didn't really think much about God at all. And I still went to Sunday school and, a Christian school from when I was about 5 in preschool. So 5, 6, 7. So for 3 years, no, I didn't think about it at all. Like, and really, if I try to remember, I don't remember thinking about
It was just part of it. It was just part of life, right? Like, it was just a
I
thing.
thought it was just normal life for everyone. That's right. Yeah. But when I was 7, again, I'd never heard a message like that until that point. And, as graphic as, talking about the fires of hell and, everything that the Bible has to say about that. So really, when I heard about that for me for the first time, I took it, at my first hearing. So really from 7 is really when I started to think about spiritual things altogether. Yeah.
And how'd life go on after that? How were the teen years?
Yeah, look, to be honest with you, I think like most teens, I wasn't, again, like I don't say I was the smartest cookie at school. And, I accept that.
Mate, it makes me very happy to hear that because I wasn't either.
So yeah, no, like I went through school. I had my struggles. 100% had my struggles. I'd say my biggest struggle was an interesting enough. My biggest struggle was anger.
Okay.
I did struggle with that. As a teenager, I'd say I used to get really angry. I used to really be pretty terrible.
I could not picture you angry
Really?
like that at all, man. Nah.
Just talk to my family.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Well, how'd you deal with it? How was that something that you overcame, I guess?
Yeah, well, looking back on it, and I do think about it a lot actually, because, I reckon that the turning point from that, just skipping to the turning point, was when I was about 17, 18.
Okay.
So really, I was from when I was, 10, 11, 12, to when I was about 18, I'd say I struggled with that, looking back on it. How did I deal with it? To be honest, at first I didn't deal with it. I thought that's who I am. I can't change it. And I really made no effort to change. Like, that's how dumb it was.
Yeah, no, that's fair though, but that's most teenagers, man.
Yeah, so I just remember my parents were just always long-suffering, always, wanting to help me out. I was terrible. Like, really, I was. And then, there was a turning point when I was 17, 18. There were a few other things going on in my life as well. And I just knew, in a nutshell, I need to grow up. I just need to stop. I need to grow up, and I need to, become a man, obviously. And, that was, again, because of my parents, because of my family, my loving siblings, again, my teachers, because it wasn't just my parents who would have had to deal with it, would have been at school as well. And obviously, and, my teachers, again, were long-suffering. And when I saw the long-sufferingness all around me and the unconditional love, I thought, hold on, I'm going to stop abusing this, really. I need to change if I want to get anywhere in life.
You just saw that yourself?
To be honest with you, I saw that through the constant, I guess, spoken word, especially from my parents. They said, look, you got to change, you got to change, you got to change. And it's like, I heard it over and over and over again. I blocked my ears to it. I'm not sure why, to be honest. I just thought, I think...
Because you're a teenager.
I was a teenager.
That's how teenagers
I was
are.
proud. Like, I was very proud. So really, like, my life was, I was saved when I was 7, but really my life was not the way God expected it to be. Again, I thought on that, I'm saved. What am I saved from? I'm saved from hell. Am I going to continue abusing that? So yeah, no, I didn't come to that, by myself. I came to that because of the unconditional love that was shown to me.
That's awesome.
So, sometimes, you just realize that and you just think, hold on a second, I was at the point where I was about to finish school. I wanted to go to uni, and like all of these big responsibility things were kind of coming to light that I wanted to do. And I thought, hey, like, I better be responsible, all round. So yeah.
I like
point
that.
17, 18. Yeah.
I like that. Can I ask you then,
Sure.
having all those years in school, getting saved at a young age, when does Christianity become real to you? Because everyone has their salvation date if they're a Christian, but I think there's a point in a person's life where Christianity becomes theirs, right? It doesn't need to be at their salvation point, because a lot of people, like you said, get saved young. But there's a point where a person decides, this is real to me, and I want to follow this for the rest of my life. When was that for you?
I think it was, I would definitely say, at the 17, 18-year-old mark. So where I dealt with, you know, what I would say was my besetting sin, and that was anger. And yeah, like honestly, like when I became, you know, an adult, like, you know, around the 17, 18-year-old mark, that's when it became real to me. I started getting involved more in ministry. People wanted to look to me more to be involved with, you know, youth group leading, music ministry, and, you know, other things as well. And, you know, part of that, you know, like I thought to myself, hey, like I should be responsible for people wanting to look to me. Otherwise I shouldn't be doing these sorts of things. And I think just, you know, just meditating more on the Lord. You know, I started to read my Bible a lot more when I turned 17, 18. I hardly did, I admit, before that. And yeah, the more you know who God is, the more you think, wow, this is actually what I got saved from when I was 7. And I didn't realize it at the time, as you said.
Yeah.
So yeah, the power of just, you know, reading God's word, what He's given to us for a reason, for us to, you know, look into it, know more about who He is, and, you know, again, what He saved us from, and that's just the fundamentals, and just meditating on that is huge for me. And I still just, you know, meditate on those, you know, basics, really. You know, being saved from hell, if it wasn't for God and the Lord Jesus Christ, I would be going there even today. So that might sound so simple to a lot of people, but it's huge. It's humongous.
But I think that's the point, right? I always say, you know, Christianity wasn't given to lawyers and doctors for the most part. Most of Christ's followers were tradesmen. The simple-minded, the working with their hands ready to go type of guys. Yeah. So Christianity was never meant to be some complex theology that people couldn't understand. So when someone says something like that, where they say, listen, Christianity became real just because I saw the simplicity of it, I think that's massive. I think that's actually bigger than a lot of people will give it credit for, because it shows that what we believe in isn't just something that we've just followed. It's because we read the simplicity of it. We saw the simplicity of it in our own lives. You know, I mean, just in the small part of your life of needing to deal with anger, you saw the simplicity of, no, I need to be pleasing my God and not taking advantage of this long suffering. Simplicity allows for a person to understand, okay, I'm going with it. I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way, but that's how I see it.
Yeah.
And
again, like I'm not, you know, I'd say I've developed a lot, you know, like, and, you know, I knew, just saying what you said, I needed that simplicity as a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And I need it now. Like I really do. And, you know, like you said, you know, I'm glad that was God's plan, and God knew, you know, what we can take, even if, you know, the lawyers are there, as you said, they still need, you know, a simple solution to the sin problem. Like really, like if it was any more than what it actually is, then I don't think we'd be able to do it. Even though we might think we could, really there's nothing in ourselves. And if God asked for 1 ounce of ourselves, we couldn't give it, because He does demand perfection. And that's when Jesus came in, He was the perfect one, and He, you know, died for us. So it couldn't be any other way. Yeah. You know, when you look at it as well.
100%. I think we hit the nail on the head there. Now, I want to get back to your teaching side of things, because we spoke about off air how I wanted to be a teacher, but I never went down that path because I just couldn't deal with the whole school politics and all that.
Right.
You get out of school, you start going to uni.
Yep.
What's your process after uni? You finish uni, you get your degree. When do you start going to work? When do you start? So can you explain that whole thing to me?
Yeah, well, look, to be honest with you, I've considered myself quite blessed, like very blessed actually, over the last couple of years. Finished uni at the end of 2019. I knew I wanted to, first of all, get into teaching, like straight away. Like I didn't want to have any gap or anything.
No traveling the world or anything like that?
To be honest with you, a lot of people have asked me that, and I've never had a desire for that.
That's
enough. Yeah, like, and I talked to my wife about it a lot actually. She's always had a desire to do that, and she's done that. But me, I mean, I never ended up doing that, and I've never had a massive desire.
You never wanted to go check out, I don't know, Greece or the US or something like that?
Well, funnily enough, like when I grew up, both my parents were born in Peru, in South America. So we went over there a few times. Some of my family members moved to the US, so we went there. So I've always traveled to see family, and I've been on a mission trip to Fiji.
Okay.
But to travel just to say, hey, I'm going to this country just because, you know,
I want to check it out.
yeah, I've never, honestly, have I done? No, I've never done that.
Wow.
I'd say I've never done that. I might be wrong. My wife might be thinking, no, we've done here. I have been to Greece for my honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
Been to Fiji for
What do you think of Greece?
Greece.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I loved it.
Really?
I really loved it.
I wasn't a
honestly.
fan.
Really?
Yeah, not a fan.
Whereabouts did you go?
So I went to the mainland, Athens. I went
Yep.
to Santorini, Mykonos, and a little island called Naxos.
Awesome. I went to Santorini, Athens. And that's it.
Okay.
Um,
You liked it?
To be honest with you, I did, and I think it was probably because of, you know, the occasion of my honeymoon. So I thought,
Yeah,
hey,
fair. Fair
so
call.
maybe I attached that to that. If I went there just because, might have been different, but maybe not. Like,
And
I like
hey,
that.
no offense to anyone that's Greek listening to this. It's just it wasn't for me. I don't know what to say. Like, you know, Lebanon was better.
Right? Yeah. You're probably right.
Talk to me about Fiji. Talk to me about your missions trip. We'll get back to the teaching thing. That one
Sure,
intrigues
sure.
me, man.
Sorry,
Yeah, no. I like the diversion. All right. Fiji, when did you go? What year?
Went in 2012.
2012. How old are you
Happened
then?
to be my final year of school.
Okay.
Funnily enough,
Are you telling me you went with school?
I did.
Here
I
we
went
go.
to school.
All right. Go for it.
So I went. When did I go? I went September 2012, and I was there for 10 days. And I went with a small school group, some in my year, and I think a few others from church, like maybe one or two from the same church that runs my school. And yeah, to be honest with you, it was an experience for me. I've been to Peru. That's not, would I say it's third world country? Probably close to there. Fiji, I wouldn't say it's the same, but it's like, you know, similar.
Okay.
So I wasn't shocked by the culture, if you'd say that. But it was a good experience for me to experience. How do I put it? How a church runs in that sort of environment where they don't have everything.
Sure.
And that's what hit me the most. To see people worshipping, to see people happier than I was back in Australia.
Yep.
And I, you know, probably had better things than them. That's what hit me. And it's funny, I went there to work, I went there to help, but that's actually what I took away from it.
When you get that takeaway, how much does that affect your life coming back?
Yeah, to be honest with you, ever since then, I've been a lot more grateful. I've been a lot more dependent on God. You know, a lot of us would naturally not, you know, pray to God and ask Him even for the little things.
Yeah.
And even thank Him for the little things. But I found ever since then, I've been doing that a lot more.
I think that's a big thing, and I think that's a big takeaway there, because we don't, let's be real, we don't pray, hey, Lord, where's my next meal coming from? Right. We don't pray, Lord, is the electricity going to be on tomorrow? We expect that to happen. So when you get that perspective of things, it really does remind you how blessed we are here. So what you guys do when you were there?
Yeah, it was just 10 days. So, like, to be honest, what we did is we helped out with their school. They also ran a school. I actually taught a class, which was interesting. And that was actually, I was sweating because I was still, I hadn't even started uni at that point, obviously. And I knew I wanted to teach. They said, hey, can you teach this class? I thought, okay, I'll do my best. So I did a bit of teaching in the school. I only taught one class in the school. We helped out with the music ministry at church. We helped lead church. What else did we do? They had some small, like, building projects, which I'll be honest, we couldn't help out too much with, but we helped out with, like, you know, the small things like digging and things. So just being, like, helping hands. So we were there, and then they said, okay, do that, you do that, you do that. So it felt like small tasks. And I'll be honest with you, at the moment, I thought, I'm not really doing anything big here. Like, you know,
Really?
I felt like I wanted to do something bigger.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds weird. But looking back, again, like, they just before we left, they said, look, you guys have been an amazing help. Thanks so much. And I thought, so, like, you know, even the little things and, like, the little hands-on stuff, you know, it does help out a lot.
And there's a lesson in that. I mean, and I think that's something that a lot of Christians should consider. No matter what your job is at church, no matter what job you've got in ministry,
Definitely.
it means something. And it's bigger than you're giving it credit for. You know, at the end of the day, you're probably blessing someone that you don't know you've blessed.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But no, I love mission trip stories. So back to the teaching thing. Okay. So you leave uni, and you start going into work.
Yes.
Talk to me.
How did we get off that? I don't even know.
I don't know. We started talking about traveling or something like that.
That's right. You know? Okay. So, yes, I didn't decide to travel. I wanted to go straight into uni. You know, and people have asked me, like, you know, why sort of thing. Well, because I kind of, in a way, I was probably dreading uni because, again, I wasn't the smartest guy. but I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I don't know
So
how
you
that
just
works.
wanted to get it done.
Exactly.
I respect that because I'm the
Exactly.
same way.
Yeah.
Can't stand it, but yeah.
That's right. So I wanted to start that straight away. And, you know, I thought, you know, I don't want to do anything else. Might as well just start it so I can finish it. So went straight into there. I was going well. I started at one uni, then I transferred after my first year to another uni. And pretty much my degree actually took 5 years. So it was actually quite a commitment. It was pretty good. I survived. The
Nice.
beginning was actually easier than I thought. So I thought, yes, that's great. It got harder as it got into the middle and kind of easy at the end. At the end of my degree, I was literally it was my last subject.
Okay.
And I needed to complete that last subject to graduate, but I failed it. And I remember being so disappointed. I thought I was right at the end. And long story short, I had to wait. So this is at the end of 2018. I should have graduated at the end of 2018. But because I failed this subject at the end of 2018, they only offered it at the end of an academic year. So I had to wait till the end of 2019 to just do one subject and then to graduate.
How'd you deal with that?
I was really disappointed. Like
Yeah.
I had to control my anger. Honestly, like it was.
Is there
not anger,
not
but-
so there's nothing they could have done to like because you basically put your life on hold there, right?
Pretty much.
Your career.
I tried to work as much as I could.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was just the longest year to
Yeah.
wait to just do that subject again. So, yeah, I ended up finishing at the end of 2019, and it was a blessing in disguise because at the end of 2019, one of my close friends finished off at a school in the Bankstown area at the end of 2019.
Okay.
And he said, look, I know you're about to finish uni. He knew that I had to wait and do a whole another year. I'm about to leave. I got another job somewhere else. Do you want to apply for my position? And then I thought to myself, hey, like I actually want to do that because I wanted to get uni out of the way because, you know, and then what's next? You know, I wanted to work. I wanted to earn money, all that stuff. So I applied for it and long story short, I got it. And
Okay.
I was actually very surprised that I got it because, you know, like I didn't expect to get, and it was full time. It was full time. So like I didn't expect full time teaching position. So it was a bit of a dream. So I thought, oh wow, that's fantastic. So I did that, and I'm at a new school this year. I got a permanent position at another school. So basically, when I said I consider myself blessed, it's very rare, honestly, for teachers to get full-time permanent positions, but I did, and I do thank God for that. And from school, I went straight to uni and went straight into work.
Yeah, that's not a standard path at all, man.
And God provided every step of the way, even when at the end of 2018 I thought He wasn't. So I guess that was a big moment in my life that, you know, to go from one to the other seamlessly,
Yeah.
almost, even though I didn't realize it fully at the time. That's a huge blessing, and I've been really thankful for that.
100%, man. All right, well let's close this off, and we
Sure.
close it off in one way.
Okay.
I put you in the DeLorean. I take you back 10 years,
Okay.
send you back in time, so you'd be 17.
Sure.
All right. What are you telling him? What's the one piece of advice you're giving young Paul?
Giving 17-year-old Paul.
Yeah.
I'd say never ever doubt what God will do. Like never ever doubt.
Okay.
Looking back at the last 10 years, I can never say that God did not provide for me even a little bit. Like God has provided for me way beyond than what I thought He would. I would have been happy to go to uni, probably fail more subjects than I did. I only failed one.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the smartest cookie.
Okay.
So I expected to fail more.
Okay.
So that's part of the reason why I wanted to jump into it quickly. But no, I only failed one. I went straight into full-time work. I love my job today. And looking back, you know, God did all that. Like I'm a firm believer that God did all that. Even when at the beginning of that process, when I was finishing school, I thought, oh, you know, let's see how things go. No, like we can do more than that as Christians.
Do you think we limit ourselves
In what way?
as Christians? Knowing that, you know, we have a God that does some incredible things, but we mentally limit Him, or we mentally limit ourselves?
100%. And I think we do because, you know, as the Bible says, you know, no man has seen God at any time. And like, you know, we as humans, we can struggle with that. Like, we've never seen God. However, He does work. And like, you know, there are millions and millions of proofs of that over history and even in our own lives. You know, the same God that parted the Red Sea is the same God that I serve, and, you know, we all can serve.
And that's huge because I don't think we comprehend that as much as we should.
Yeah.
We really do serve the same God that parted that Red Sea. That's a massive thing compared to some of the stuff we go through today.
That's right.
Very minuscule, and he still sorts that out.
That's right. Yeah.
Mate, I appreciate you jumping on, man.
Thank you. It's been great. I've enjoyed it.
Mate, it flew by. Where can the people find you if they want to follow you online? Where can they find you?
I'm on Facebook. I did get Instagram as well, but I don't really use Instagram. But yeah, my first name, Paul Haregi, and that's pretty much where I'm on.
Nice. Well, ladies and gents, his details will be in the description below, as per usual. Make sure you follow the channel, subscribe to it, get us to that 150. Share the video around, tell us who you want on next, mate. Thank you for talking to me.
Thanks very much.